It is Holy War Eve. BYU and Utah squaring off at LaVell Edwards Stadium with the Cougars looking to make it 3 in a row over their arch rivals, and I'm going to tell you exactly how BYU pulls this off.
You are Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast on the BYU Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast focused on the BYU Cougars. I'm Jake Hatch, executive producer of the KSL Sports Zone in Salt Lake City, Utah, and a 14-year credentialed media member at BYU. I am your resident expert and insider, your host here on this podcast. And as always, thank you for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. All right, coming up on today's show, it's all things Holy War. How exactly does BYU go about being a home underdog and getting to 7-0 against the Utah Utes? Well, good question. We'll get to that. We'll also talk with two guys who I think have a role to play in this game, one on the field, the other off, those being running back Preston Rex and linebackers coach Justin Ena. You'll hear those exclusive one-on-one conversations on today's show, and we'll also get to your guys' questions in our Locked On Cougars Insider Group Q&A, and also make some picks, Big 12 big picks. It is a jam-packed edition of the podcast, and it's all brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet right now. If you're new customers at FanDuel, get $300 in bonus bets if it hits. Simple as that. Go to FanDuel.com or download the FanDuel app and get started today. All right. BYU, Utah, LaVell Edwards Stadium, the scene of the latest iteration of the Holy War game. And I, for one, am super excited for this matchup. I will be there, as will thousands of you. 64, maybe 65,000 standing room only in LaVell Edwards Stadium. And I, for one, am excited to see how this all plays out. Is it a nerve-wracking ordeal for many of you out there? Absolutely. But I was talking with my wife not that long ago, and I have been watching the Seattle Mariners. I'm actually wearing a Mariners shirt right now, if you can see that on YouTube. It's a nice little play on the MLB logo, but using our guy, Ken Griffey Jr. And I was talking about the fact when I watch the Seattle Mariners, every pitch is like agony for me when it comes to watching baseball, because there's just that unknown in that split second between the pitch and then ultimately what happens at the plate. She explained, speaking of my wife, who is an excellent softball player, that softball and baseball, it's fun for her. That's what she enjoyed. Like, she enjoys that part of it. But for me, it's agony. And it's the flip for her. She watches football and it's straight up agony for her, where for me, I love all the tension. I love the high stakes nature of a matchup like this between BYU and Utah. It's an incredible atmosphere, and I'm up for it. And I absolutely love it. I know a lot of you probably don't. You hate the fact that it's against your arch rival. You hate the fact it pits you against literally family, friends, or close confidants you may have. I get all that. This is an interesting game because these two programs, especially in this version of the Holy War era, are so intimately aware of one another and what one another are going to try to do that there is almost no advantage to be gained on either side. And that may sound crazy to say, but think about it. We have on the staffs alone guys who have played for the other university and have coached at that university, and then the flip sides. It's incredible how aware these two coaching staffs are of one another. I talked with, well, I didn't, but along with the rest of the media, talked with Aaron Roderick and Jay Hill earlier this week. And I said, is there really anything to be gained from the fact that you guys know them as well as they know you? And both of them essentially said, nope. Honestly, they know that you know what they know that they're going to try to do. And we know that they know that we think that we're going to do. Yeah, they know everything about one another. So what's it going to come down to in a game like this? What it's going to come down to is it's going to come down to one word: execution. Now, that may sound nebulous, that may sound crazy to you, but think about it this way. I think the single most impactful unit in this game, based on just reputation alone, should be Utah's offensive line. They have two first-round draft picks, it looks like, at minimum, in their offensive tackles, and Spencer Fano and Caleb Lomu. That offensive line, in many people's eyes, is one of, if not the best in the entire Big 12, if not the entire country. Their ability, speaking of Utah's ability, to use that offensive line to great effect in this game, and that means controlling the line of scrimmage, opening gaping holes to exploit BYU's defense for big gainers on the ground, the ability to allow Devin Dampier to have time in the pocket to find wide receivers. If that offensive line executes the way it could mean a really, really long night for BYU. Conversely, I'm sure that Jay Hill has been scheming something up special to neutralize that offensive line. If you can neutralize Utah's offensive line, that is going to go a long way to helping BYU win this football game, because you look at the skill talent at Utah, it's good, but it's not great. And I'm not saying that BYU is great. I'm just saying Utah, everything they do relies and runs through that offensive line, and for good reason, because it's absolutely an elite unit. BYU has to neutralize that. So what's it going to come down to? It's going to come down to BYU's 11 guys on defense executing against the 11 guys from Utah. It's a very simple game, speaking of football, more often than we try to make it. We try and gussy it up and make it seem like it's more complicated than it really is. If you can go out there and execute your plays and have your 11 guys do a better job than the other 11 guys on the field trying to stop them, that is going to give you a major advantage in this contest. BYU and Utah want to run the ball down one another's throats in this game. They're going to want to go for 250 yards, silence the crowd. Speaking of Utah playing in a road venue, BYU wants the crowd to be absolutely electric and be behind them the entire way. If they can run the ball, that's going to go a long way to helping both of these teams win that game. But the execution side of it is that both of these programs, I wholeheartedly believe, are going to pack that box and essentially force this game onto the arms of the respective quarterbacks in Devin Dampier and Bear Bachmeier. It is going to be a tit for tat. It's an absolute chess match in a game like this. And it's why routinely this game comes down to 1, 2, maybe 3 plays. And it's a single possession game more often than not. It is one of the elite rivalries in the entire country. I am super excited to see it play out. I will be there along with thousands of you in Lavelle Edwards Stadium, and very much looking forward to seeing how it all plays out. But the ultimate deciding factor in this game for me, execution. If BYU can execute like they have, and there's a reason why they're 17-2 in their last 19 games. There's a reason why they have won at 24 of their last 27 home games under the lights at Lavelle Edwards Stadium. It's because Kalani Sitake puts an emphasis on execution, on physicality, and more often than not, playing smart football. BYU has played some not so smart football recently, and I know that that's probably got under the skin of their coaching staff. So I'm sure the message to them is you're being disrespected by being a home dog to your arch rival at Lavelle Edwards Stadium. And B, we need to go out there and assert ourselves and prove that we can make it 3 in a row and leave that little bit of unease, if not outright panic, in the minds of Utah and their fans, with BYU actually holding a winning streak over them. That would go a long, long way to establishing, I think, a lot of credence, a lot of, just proving to the nation that BYU is legit. Like, legitimacy is on the line here for this BYU football program. Is it going to be easy? Absolutely not. This is far and away the best opponent BYU has played to date this season. They're 6-0 for a reason. They've handled their business against the other 6 opponents, and it's going to take a whole lot more to get this W. Big noon kickoff is in town. There are a whole lot of media traveling here. I know that guys like John Kurtz and Drake Toll are in town. I'm sure there's plenty more that I'll be seeing in the press box and the like. But I am super excited for this game, and I'll just say it again. If you haven't heard me on the other podcasts I've appeared on this week, I have been predicting this all week long. BYU 24, Utah 23. Find a way, get to 7-0, and have a 3-game winning streak over Utah. That's all that matters in this circumstance. Coming up next, we're going to talk with 2 guys, as I mentioned, who I think are going to have a role in this game. One of them, Preston Rex, could be a guy that spells LJ Martin in this game. The other, well, he's coaching up a linebackers unit that's going to be absolutely critical to BYU's chances of slowing down Devin Dampier and this Utah offense. That's Justin Ena. You're going to hear from both of them next, right here on Locked On Cougars. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at DoorDash. It's almost the weekend. It's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by our friends at DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streak, saving you more money every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. Of course, last week, BYU got an absolutely electric win in double overtime over Arizona. You're probably thinking, who are you going to pick for the game of the player of the game? It's Bear Bachmeier. No, it's not. I'm actually going to give it to LJ Martin. His ability to run between the tackles and grind out tough yards and have a career high in rushing, in fact, I think earns him as the breakout performance of the week. When the pressure was on, LJ more often than not delivered, and the best part is he had no hesitation, no delay. They've been watching him week after week this season. That performance was not a fluke. LJ is on a streak. And just like LJ is on a streak for BYU, DoorDash delivers on your Saturdays with DoorDash streaks as well. You can save every Saturday that you order, stack it up all season long, save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday, keep that streak alive, and fuel your game day only with our friends at DoorDash. Terms apply, and the promo period runs through 11/18. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends over at SupplyHouse. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, you get your crew moving forward with SupplyHouse. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow with over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, or electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. The real-time inventory and honest lead times keeps you from punting on projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. The best part is their part finder tools and 3D schematics save you hours on the jobs where every detail matters, because obviously if you work in the trades, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And their Trademaster perks like priority shipping and dedicated support make the whole process smoother along the way. So join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use the promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people and real service. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. Appreciate all of you for being with us. And as always, thank you for your support of this podcast. Had a couple of you send me some messages the last couple of days of really touched my heart. People saying that I've been a big help to get them through a rough week for some people out there when it comes to this rivalry. So thank you, truthfully, for your support of this podcast and being with us literally every single day if you're an everydayer, because it's the motto of this entire network, the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. It's as simple as that. So thank you for all of your support. All right, let's talk about BYU running backs. Now, I think that LJ Martin is going to be a critical cog in this game against Utah. He's going to have to go for 100 plus yards, it feels like, for BYU to win this game, but he can't take every carry because, quite frankly, you'll wear him out. It's like trying to ride a horse into the ground. It's exactly what we'd be doing to a guy like LJ Martin. Well, with the injuries BYU has absorbed at the position, most notably Sione Moa, you need other guys to step up, and that is where Preston Rex enters the mix. Now, many of you know that last name, Byron, obviously a standout tight end. Isaac has the all-time record for touchdowns by a tight end. Well, this is Preston's turn to shine on the big stage against Utah, and I had an opportunity to catch up with him earlier this week to talk about that very fact, as well as just his play in general and what he hopes to accomplish against Utah in this rivalry game. So without further ado, one-on-one with Preston Rex right now, right here on Locked On Cougars.
How did it feel to be back out there and playing ball?
I felt great. I felt fast. I had a little bit of a hamstring issue early on in the season, so the trainers here and everyone at the strength staff, they really got me right, to just feel good again. I got a little extra time to learn a little bit more of the offense and the nuances that come with playing running back. So I felt really good out there, and I had a great time.
Obviously, due to circumstances, you moved up the depth chart here. Yeah. What's it feel like to actually be taking advantage of that opportunity?
I felt like I was ready, and I'm continuing to just prepare myself to get whatever reps I get. Enoch and Jovesa and Sione, those guys are really good backs. I've learned a ton from them, switching from safety to running back. So kudos to them. They've taken me in. They've shown me a lot of just what it means to be a running back. So I'm happy to fill in when I can and to get the reps I can, but those guys are really great, and they're great ball players as well.
On the broadcast team was talking about the fact that they feel like the coaches said your hands can set you apart as a running back. Do you feel like that's a strength of yours?
Yeah, I have a receiver background, and the Rex family, we're all offensive guys.
I was going to say, come on now, yeah.
Finally, we're all offensive guys. So Isaac had soft hands, Byron had soft hands, and I'm just with them as well. Right up there with them. So I think I have good ball skills, soft hands. So with that receiver background, I think it helps me just as an athlete on the offense in general.
What does it mean to have a guy like LJ who's really kind of shouldered this load? He's been an absolute workhorse, but what's it been like to have him teaching you some of the things, I guess, finer intricacies of playing running back? Yeah.
LJ's a baller, and LJ sometimes doesn't talk the most, but he just says watch, and whenever I need a coaching point, LJ is going to teach me what to do. So it's been very helpful to have someone who's just an All-American like LJ to kind of lead me in that way.
I wanted to ask you about what you've seen from him, because he's really broken out this year, and injuries kind of precluded him from really getting going the first 2 years. But what's different this year from your vantage point for him?
LJ in the summer was a different animal, man. He was working hard. He was one of our team captains for our summer workout groups. I think he had a great off-season, a great fall camp, which is, bled its way into a great season. So LJ's been working hard, not just with the season, but in the off-season as well. He's been working hard all year. And also I think our O-line has just played amazing. They've really shown what they're about. They're super physical in the trenches. So the O-line and LJ's just been working really hard, so kudos to him.
Turn the attention to this week, big rivalry game. I know you're from California, but your family's ingrained in this rivalry. What does it mean to you to be playing against Utah?
Yeah, well, Isaac beat Utah, Byron beat Utah, so I need a little offensive action with them. We're super confident this week. They got a good program, of course. They got a lot of guys, some of the guys that I know. I feel like the programs are really intertwined, which makes us want to get that win even more. But we're preparing the right way, and we're ready for a showdown this Saturday, so we're excited.
Do you like rivalry games?
I do.
Okay. What about them sets them apart in your mind?
Well, for us, we're preparing like this is just a normal game, you know. This is, just different because it's week 7. We're just trying to get our 7th win. But I'm excited for the atmosphere. I'm excited for, just the color rush, the red versus blue. It's an exciting feeling in the air. So we're going to prepare and come out to show. Just show what we can do this Saturday, so it should be really fun.
Last thing for me, can LaBelle Edwards Stadium play that big of a role in the outcome in this game, in your opinion?
Oh, yeah, they definitely can. We need the Rock. The Rock, if you're hearing this, get loud. I'm on kickoff, so when I run down to the Rock, I'll throw up my hands, man. Yeah. So make sure you guys are loud, and let's give them a good show for sure.
Preston, thanks for the time,
man.
man.
Of course. Thank you, Jake.
There's Preston Rex. A big thank you to him for taking the time to join us here on the podcast. You heard him say it. Byron's got to win over Utah. Isaac's got to win over Utah. Preston, well, while he does have one because he was on the team the last time BYU won this game, if I recall, he wants nothing more. He was on the team last year when BYU went up there and won. He wants a win on his home turf against the Utah Utes. Obviously, Preston was injured last season, so he would love nothing more to actually play a key role in that win, and we'll see how it all plays out. But I think that LJ and that running back unit, if they can go for 100+ yards at minimum, that's going to help BYU have a major opportunity to get this W. Now, guys that are going to have to slow down Utah's rushing attack include BYU's linebacking unit, in particular, Isaiah Glasker, Jack Kelly, who's expected to play in this game, and who knows how close to 100% he is with that shoulder injury, but also guys like Siale Acera. They're going to have to absolutely fill gaps, make tackles, and ensure that they do not allow a guy like Devin Dampier to escape the pocket in this game. I fully expect that they will spy him at times with Jack Kelly. They'll try and bracket him in terms of just having the pass rush maybe not be as aggressive as it has been with BYU, and try and keep him in the pocket. And as I said, make plays with his arm. It's much easier said than done because I'm telling you, Devin Dampier, he's an elite athlete. He's an incredible football player. I've got zero qualms about saying that very thing about him. And if BYU allows him to do like Noah Fafita last week and escape the pocket, make plays with his feet, it could be a very, very long night at the office for BYU. But BYU's linebackers, they're coached well, and they know what they have to accomplish because, well, Justin Ena says that very exact thing, and we'll talk with him right now, right here on Locked On Cougars.
Your linebacking core has been pretty highly touted, especially with Jack and Isaiah. How have they performed from your evaluation halfway through the season?
Yeah, I think they've done a pretty good job. I love the leadership from them. I think they come out to practice every single day. We don't have prima donnas, and that's what I love about these kids. They just want to get better every single day. They ask the right questions. They're almost to the point where you're like, hey, let's sit this rep out, and they're like, no, I need these reps. And so they're a joy to coach. They're great human beings and great football players. So it's been really nice.
Saw Siale have a career day against Arizona. How nice has it seen his progression overall?
It was really, really good. So the big deal with Siale was I just said you got to get nasty and dirty sometimes. And as a MAC backer, if you're not having 10+ days, 10+ tackle days, then you're probably not doing it as right. And so for him to get 16 tackles, it was really, really clean. And again, he had the hot hand, and I kept on letting him in there, and he did a great job performing. And again, a breakout game for him, and then just being physical at the point of attack. I was really proud of him.
Does that give you, I guess, an extra layer of security knowing that you can put him and Isaiah out there if you don't have a guy like Jack, et cetera, to be able to play everything you need to run essentially.
No, definitely. I mean, you can keep the list going too as well. I feel great with Ace, Kafusi, Miles Hall. I've done a great. Max Alford's done a great job picking it up too as well. So we have some hungry guys in there that just want to just do the very best when their number's called.
How difficult can it be, though? Because traditionally it's always been a 3 linebacker set, but with this day and age of football, it's more and more 2 linebackers out there. How do you balance making sure everybody's happy and getting playing time, essentially?
Yeah, these guys, I mean, the cool thing about it is they see the film. And so when we're watching practice, they kind of see there's not really a hierarchy, but the good players make the most plays, and they're in there the most of the time. So, you're looking at Jack and Glasgow for the most part, but then the rest of the crew, there's not much of a drop-off. Again, all they want to do is compete, and they're really good at just being each other's cheerleaders too. I'm hard on a lot of those guys, and then sometimes they're more the pick-me-up guy on the sideline. Say, hey, you saw what Coach was talking about, and I'm telling you, it's fun because these guys are. They're great football players, but they're great teammates and great human beings.
I remember the broadcast. It's 3 or 4 broadcasts ago on ESPN. They were pointing out Isaiah Glasgow and Jack because they were in like the cowboy collars, they got their neck rolls and whatnot. They said they're old school in that regard. And my immediate thought was, well, if you knew they're a coach, I think it lines up.
Yeah, they're again. I couldn't hold a candle to these guys. These kids are like sports cars. I was like a F-150. Okay. I could barely move. These guys are Corvettes and Lamborghinis. The way they move, the way they fly around, they're really good athletes. But like I said before, they're in the playbook, they're in the film session. They're trying to be the very best at everything they do. We want them to get even a little bit more dirty and be a little bit more violent at the point of attack. And I think it's coming, but at the same time, it is a different kind of breed of athlete these days. And these kids are, again, these guys are 4 or 5 guys that are flying around and making a lot of plays. And again, I couldn't do a lot of things these guys do. I would be me and Kalani were just talking about it. We'd be a 1 technique and a 3 technique these days. So.
I know you've coached at every school in this state, including Utah. What do rivalry weeks mean for you personally?
You know what? Again, for us, is to go 1-0 this week. And so we really want to get that 7th win. Does it mean something? Of course it does. Utah's a great program. I love their coaches. I think they do a great job, and they promote that toughness and that attitude of just each and every down, just annihilating their opponent. And I think it's the thing that we want to do too as well, is make sure that, again, we want to make sure that we impose our will, that we do our job, that we do our 111th. It's still a football game. It's winning the rep every single down. And when you don't win it, then the next rep is a chance for you to win.
Vaunted offensive line up there. I know that you guys don't necessarily go up against it every play, but what's the challenge in going against such a strong offensive front?
Oh no, it's great. I mean, there's no chinks in the armor right there. It's really clean. The way they move around, they all work together well. They're very athletic. The movement that they move, we haven't seen this type of offensive lineman. So again, it's going to be doing our job, doing our 111th, making sure that we're securing our gaps when we attack downhill, that we are violent with our hat and hands, and that we're making the ball bubble or bounce. That's our number one thing we're trying to do right there. But we're also trying to make sure that we, again, are trying to establish a new line of scrimmage more in the backfield than having them get that surge and that push, which they always do. So they're a great team, great offensive line, and it's going to be a good challenge for us.
Another dual threat quarterback this week. What's the biggest danger with a guy like him here?
Yeah, he's lightning in a bottle pretty much. And so we kind of faced a guy like Noah where he can move around, and Noah is more of that passing first. I mean, Dampier is he can make plays with his feet, the way he runs around, the way he extends plays, and so he's such a dual threat. And it's one of those things where you're just trying to contain and keep him in the pocket when you can. Yeah. When he does escape, then we better have someone trying to pull him up, because if you don't, then he's going to get a lot of yards with his feet, which, I mean, he did last week.
What's the biggest thing about, like, I know you've played in this game, you played in the rivalry game. What's the biggest element to actually playing in this game? What is it? Is it the crowd? Like, what is it? Like,
no, it's so fun just to be around. It's really just the crowd, the atmosphere. It's everything leading up to it. I mean, We've got the big noon kickoff here too as well. So there's a lot of hype to it. It's not really buying into the hype as much. It's just doing your job. But there is a little bit more electricity in the air.
All right. Well, Justin, thanks for the time.
Thank you, Jay.
There's Justin Ena. Big thank you to him. And before that, also a big thank you to Preston Rex for taking the time to join us here on the podcast. But those two units, speaking of running backs and linebackers, they have got major roles to play in this game for BYU against the Utah Utes. And if they can accomplish their jobs and do what they're expected to do, they'll give BYU every bit the opportunity to win this football game and make it 3 in a row. But as I mentioned already, it's much easier said than done, but I'll just reiterate it one more time. This BYU football program, they know how to win football games. You do not, I don't know how many times I can say this. You do not go 17-2 in your last 19 games in the Power 4 level without being a pretty darn good football program and B, knowing in your heart of hearts how to win football games. Rarely is it easy. Rarely is it just a one-way street that you're going to go down and just win that game. That doesn't happen very often at this level, but BYU, they're a winning football program. They got no thought of seeing that fall by the wayside in this game against Utah, and we'll see how it all plays out. But as always, big thank you to Justin Ena, big thank you to Preston Rex, and big thank you to BYU Athletic Communications for arranging said interviews. All right. Going to be a long edition of the podcast. I'll just say it right now because we're probably moving up on our usual 30-minute allotment, but it's a Holy War Eve edition. We're going to go a little bit long today. So buckle in, strap it up, buckle in, whatever, buckle up. That's what I tried to, mixing and matching my metaphors. But we're going to get to your questions next. We'll also make my picks for the weekend in the Big 12 across the board as well. It's Big 12 Big Picks and our Locked On Cougars Insider Group melded into one because, we kind of ran out of time this week on the podcast, and we'll get to that next as we roll on right here on Locked On Cougars. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Rugiet. What do you get when you have a bald eagle standing on top of a silverback gorilla riding a T-Rex? Well, seems like it'd be confidence, wouldn't it? Pure confidence. If you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Go Long. Guys, you probably heard of Viagra or Cialis, maybe even tried them, but if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Go Long. That's exactly where Rugiet Go Long comes in. It's not just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for your confidence. They want you guys to feel as good as you possibly can. It combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula so you can get hard and go the distance. It's as simple as that. The process is simple. Connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online, and if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly right to your door. And the best part is if you're prescribed, your treatment will come to you guys, and you don't have to go to a doctor's office to get it. It's as simple as it possibly could be. So if you're ready to level up on your confidence in the bedroom, head to Rugiet, that's RUGIET.com, and use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege for 15% off your first order. That's Rugiet, RUGIET.com, promo code LOCKEDONCollege, and make sure you use that promo code so they know that we sent you. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NFL season rolling on, my friends. They have an offer you do not want to miss from our friends at FanDuel, and that is right now when new customers bet their first $5 bet, and they can get $300 in bonus bets if it hits. It's as simple as that, right? Pick a bet, plop down $5, and if it wins, $300 in bonus bets used across the app or online on their website. The best part is you got every opportunity to cast your bets, whether it parlays, player props, futures odds, whatever you're interested in, live in-game betting. It's all available from your friends at FanDuel. It makes watching football even more exciting. We got a little something extra riding on that action. I think we can all acknowledge that. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Once again, your first $5 bet can net you $300 in bonus bets if it wins. Go to FanDuel, download the FanDuel app today, and get started with our friends over at FanDuel. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. If you have not signed up for the Locked On Cougars Insider Group, what are you waiting for? Join us, get the inside scoop on all things BYU I've got for you guys. Come into your phone in the form of a text message, and I'll just tease this ahead. Locked On's working on something big. Probably the best way to say it. And it's going to involve the Insiders Group and a whole lot more. So get ready for it. It's coming down the pipe a little bit, but we'll tease ahead into the future. But the best part about the Insiders Group is just $5 a month to be a part of the group, and you get a 14-day free trial before you're charged a single penny. So join us today and get the inside scoop on all things BYU. All right, so let's dive right into the Locked On Cougars Insider Group. This one from Harrison. This is a great one to start off on with this. Considering some of the circumstances this week, he says, what is the worst thing that a Utah fan in person or online has said to you? And he also adds this, what is the best thing that a Utah fan has said to you online or in person? Well, the worst thing is probably the last time I went as a fan to this rivalry game, because as I remind you guys, I've been a credentialed media member for more than a decade and a half now. But the last time I attended a BYU Utah game as a fan, it was up at Rice-Eccles Stadium. And as I don't hide the fact that I was a student at BYU at the time, I was wearing blue, and we left the stadium, and BYU had lost this game, mind you. I think it was 2008, I want to say. So the Quest for Perfection, you remember they had the Quest Perfected deal. Speaking of Utah, we're walking out of that stadium, and I'm with my buddies, and my buddies' two dads were there as well. It was just a group of us. So we weren't alone. We weren't necessarily a small group or anything, but this drunk fan comes up and let's just say, said some pretty vile stuff. And I was not necessarily, I'm like, okay, whatever, just get out of here. And my other buddy essentially said, okay, you want to go? Let's go. And I'm like, we're not doing this. Thankfully, this other buddy's buddy, who was also inebriated, pulled him away. But the stuff he said, it was not pretty. It was ugly. And I'm not going to repeat it because, quite frankly, I value this job and I would lose this job if I were to say that on air. But the best thing the Utah fan has said to me actually came, man, when was that? That would have been 2000. So I got home from my mission. So I saw the 08 game, and then it would have been in 2000. Man, I'm trying to remember that year. Was it 2016? Maybe it was. I don't remember. I apologize. But essentially, this Utah fan said, you know what? This rivalry, it's a ton of fun. And you make it fun. And when I was doing some media stuff. And I said, how, what do you mean I make it fun? He's like, you keep it real. And that's what I appreciate. And you know what? It makes my day when stuff like that comes out. And I also will give a shout out to Utes Be Crazy. He's a Ute fan who's been following me on social media for quite a while. He said, I appreciate that Jake keeps it real. He said this yesterday. I appreciate that Jake keeps it real. He's the perfect host for Locked On BYU. That's a Utah fan saying a nice thing on a week when a lot of other ugly stuff said out there. So thank you, honestly, for stuff like that, because it means that, it's a rivalry. We get all that. We're trying to get each other's goat, it feels like. But the nice part is it's a crazy, crazy environment, but at the same time, it's an electric one and a whole lot of fun as well. All right, other questions here. Have you seen any changes or heard anything that you will think will show a different scheme to stop the QB run? That comes from Robert. I haven't heard anything or necessarily seen anything, but knowing Jay Hills, as I think we all do, he's got something cooked up. He's a mad scientist. And I say that in the kindest way possible because he knows what he's trying to do out there. And I do think that he will have something cooked up to neutralize, as I mentioned, Utah's offensive line, but also bottle up Wayshawn Parker and Aquari Rogers, and in particular, Devin Dampier in that rushing attack. All right, McKay, my good friend, says this. Coach Ryder said they wouldn't rely on Bear Bachmeier's legs the way they did against Arizona, but felt like BYU went back to that out of desperation when the offense stalled. Was it a one-time adjustment, or do you think we'll see the QB run packages baked in earlier against Utah to avoid another slow start? Well, McKay, Aaron said that it was part of their rain play call sheet that they had for the bad weather down there in Arizona. Now, I do think that, yes, there was some element that, hey, we're not being effective with everything else we're running. Bear, use those legs and help win us this football game. That's exactly what happened. I do think you'll see it baked more in because Bear's got a really, really good ability to read stuff like on that midline read option and the like, and that can be a weapon. And maybe I don't expect to see them use it a lot. I hope not, because I hope that LJ Martin is a Mack truck rolling down the highway and is doing his thing. But you'll see Bear Bachmeier run the football. Maybe not 20 whatever times he ran it against Arizona, but 10 to 15, absolutely. All right, other questions here. If you could erase one play in Holy War history, which would it be? That comes from Tanner. Ooh, that's a good question. Brandon Bradley's knee actually, being down, because it was down. That's a good one. I would have Mitch Payne actually make the kick. Remember that 3 times the Utah rushed the field, make that kick and really break the hearts of Utah fans in that circumstance. There's a handful of them out there. I'll think about that. See if I can come up with any other ones right there. Mark, I've heard that there are going to be quite a few NFL scouts at this game. Do you know how many? And are they only looking at Utah's offensive line, or are there a number of people that they're going to be looking at as well? they'll be looking at a lot of people. Guys like Jack Kelly and Isaiah Glasker, it's not lost on the NFL that BYU's got a lot of talent in their program in their own right. I'm out at practice, as you guys know, 2 to 3 days a week. Not 2 3, but 2 days a week. And more often than not, there's at least 1 or 2 scouts minimum from the NFL checking out BYU football practices. This game, what I understand is there's supposed to be 24 potentially NFL scouts, and I'm not talking just scouts alone. GMs, scouting directors. We're talking like key decision makers for the NFL draft. And they're there, let's be honest, to see Caleb Lomu and see Spencer Fano. But that also gives BYU players who may be a little bit off the radar a chance to shine and have those scouting directors say, hey, maybe want to keep an eye on that guy or keep an eye on this guy. It's an opportunity. Yeah, they may be there to watch Utah's guys, kind of as the reason for being there. Does not preclude BYU from being noticed as well. Jason, where's Ephraim Asiata been? Jason, good question. I wish I knew as well. Maybe it's been injury. Maybe it's just been ineffective play, but he has not been seen for a little bit. We'll see if he's back on the field this weekend, but I do not have a good answer for you on that, where Ephraim Asiata might be. Ammon, do we have an idea for how long Sione Moa might be out? Well, the question is, can he come back from the leg situation that he suffered against ECU? How he recovers and how quickly he recovers will determine that timeline. The original timeline, I think, was on the shorter end, but the fact that he's been out a little while, and I've heard literally zero since then, indicates to me he might be a little longer than I was originally told to anticipate. But at the same time, injuries are a finicky thing, and you have to make sure guys are 100% before you put them back out on the field. So I do think they'll do in his best interest to protect him and make sure that he is ready to go if and when he does take the field again. Shannon, good question here. Do you think Keanu Tanavas will be able to withstand the target on his back during this week's game and avoid personal foul penalties? I'll say right now, I hope he does. I think he understands what exactly he's going up against here. These are his former teammates, and in some ways, he left them high and dry when he left Utah for BYU. There are going to be some trash talk, and there's going to maybe be a cheap shot or two that are thrown his way. I'm not talking like trying to blindside him and that type of stuff. I hope not. We're talking like, a little punch to the gut and that type of stuff. But guess what? That's part of the game. And I know that Keanu, if he's not aware of that, well, he's being he's playing dumb at that point, if that's the case, because he needs to know what he's going up against. And I truly do believe that he understands what he's going to do in terms of handling the target, as you mentioned, on his back. Let's see. Good question here from John. I'm sorry for the early text. I actually sent this like in the early wee hours of the morning yesterday, but wanted to ask, where do you go to watch the replay of games? I'm old school. I used to go to YouTube, but where do you get full game replays? Now it's just a condensed version. I would love to know where to go watch a full game, because as many of you know, I do my film review Mondays. Well, it's just DVR, honestly. And if it's a game that for whatever reason, because of the DVR maybe malfunctioning, I just go to watchespn.com, and I do have a ESPN Plus subscription, just nature of my job. That's how I watch them. I don't get all 22 tape. I'm not that lucky. In fact, I don't know anybody that really has all 22 film for college football programs, unless they're like stealing it. But that's how I watch. I just watch the game tape, the game back, essentially. I just DVR it and I watch it back. That's part about YouTube TV in particular, which is this TV service I use, is I can double tap and skip 10 seconds at a time. So I can go back and forth on individual plays, look at them, and then jump forward. I don't need to watch the entire play out, because I'm not going to sit there and spend 3 or 4 hours watching the entire game. I can roll through a film study in an hour and a half tops, and I'll rewind and rewatch plays to get a feel for things if I need to, but that's how I do it. It's not rocket science. That's just how I go about it. So hopefully I answered your question there. Mailbag question for the rivalry week. I know that I would expect that that Kyle Whittingham was offered the head coaching position before Bronco Mendenhall. He initially accepted, but soon after didn't feel good about the decision and took over in Salt Lake City instead. If Kyle Whittingham, a former BYU football player, had been passed over in favor of Bronco, who was not, I would understand his crusade-like approach in the Holy War. However, he was one who turned down BYU. He's won the majority of the games as a head coach. As such, I have never understood his attitude towards his former school and team being so different from Kalani. Do you have any insight or a local insight that you can share? It's a good, long question, and I'll just say this. Bronco and Kyle did not get along. It's like oil and water. They did not mix. And that, I think, turned Kyle off in many respects when it came to going against his alma mater. And he wanted kind of to stick it to Bronco. And it happens. There's coaching rivalries across all sports. We all know this. Guys just don't get along. I also think that there was some urban Meyerification. Is that a term I can use? Urban came in and kind of turned it and a little bit sour in terms of like putting the urinal cakes that had the oval Y and the urinals up there at Utah and the team down south, all that stuff. And I think that Kyle Whittingham latched on to that, and he's really never let it go. He knows it gets under a BYU fan's skin. He knows it gets under everybody's skin. The fact that I'm not going to talk about quarterbacks. I'm not talking about their quarterback, but the week before he's going to, without even being asked, talk about guys like who am I thinking of? Sam Levitt from ASU. Like I said, in his opening statement, he talked about Sam Levitt. Hey, what do you think about Brett Mark? I'm going to focus on our guys this week. It's a dismissive attitude, and it's a total ploy to get under the skin of the guys he's going up against. So I think that's what it is. He did not get along with Bronco, and he made it a kind of a personal mission to stick it to Bronco by sticking it to BYU. And I'm not saying it's revolutionary information there, because I don't think it's secret on that front, but that's what I've got for you on that. Other questions here. There's been a lot of people calling for the dismissal of A-Rod this season because he's not trying to win games, just trying not to lose. Okay, Zach, I don't mean to laugh at your question. While some of his play calling has been interesting, to say the least, do you think that they think that every play call up to this point has been in preparation for this game? In other words, has he been playing chess while we've all been playing checkers? I don't think it's that deep, Zach, but here's the thing. What I know of Aaron Roderick is he's not coaching not to lose. He's coaching to win. Aaron is a driven competitor like everybody in this business. If you don't win football games as a football coach, guess what you are? You're unemployed. That's what it is. I know that I get this rep for being an A-Rod defender, but I think Aaron Roderick is a fantastic offensive coordinator. Does he have some quirks to him? No doubt. And there are times, yes, that I get baffled a little bit by some of the play calling and the like. I'm not saying that he's been building everything towards this game, but I guarantee he's got some stuff cooked up that he thinks is going to work against Utah. That's just part of being the job that he's in. He knows what it's going to take to beat Utah. He's coached on both sides of this. He's played in this rivalry. Aaron, much like Kalani, much like Jay, is uber competitive, just like Kyle Whittingham, just like Morgan Scally, just like Jason Beck. They're all going to match wits on the field tomorrow night. And you want to talk about chess match? Just watch the trios on both sides, speaking of those coordinators and the head coaches. Matching wits. It can be special in terms of that if you want to kind of pay attention to that side of it. All right, other questions here. I told you we're going long today, everybody, so stay with us here. All right, other questions. Oh, good one here. Kent, what can BYU do on 3rd and long not to give up, meaning 3rd and 13, 3rd and 14, 3rd and 16, 3rd and 8? They should all be punts. However, we're giving those up. It's a stressful week. Let's hope for the best. Go Cougs. Quite honestly, I go back to what I said to start today's podcast. Execution. What does it mean by execution? Well, making sure that guys don't get beyond you in coverage, closing up the holes if you're in a zone coverage in terms of like not allowing guys to find openings that would convert for first downs. And oh, by the way, tackling. Tackle better. If BYU, quite frankly, tackled better on some of these 3rd and longs, I think they'd be out of them a whole lot sooner. They'd be off the field a lot more than they have been this season. That's just personal opinion on the matter. I think those are things that have been lacking on that front. Let's see. Other questions. I think we got through them all here. Let's see. Oh, Zach Durgan. Are there anybody on the Utes sides in terms of injuries that are notable? They have 2 safeties in particular. Rabbit Evans is out for the season. It was a knee injury, I think an ACL. And then Nate Ritchie, a former Lone Peak Knight, the BYU chased back in the day. He's also out for the foreseeable future. That will open up opportunities in the secondary, potentially depth-wise for BYU to exploit, because you're filling in with some guys that we're supposed to be starting caliber guys for Utah that are unavailable. Those are the 2 that I would say they're the most notable in terms of guys that are out. But also, as we all know, Utah, they only list guys who are out long-term. They don't do any questionable, any probable, any doubtful. But yeah, welcome to the day and age of how Utah goes about injury reports now, which also got Greg Wrubell in hot water because he acknowledged the fact that they don't put out a depth chart. And he said, well, it just makes the job just a little bit harder. And Utah fans just went to town. And to Greg's credit, Greg was like, all right, let's dance. And he was actually pretty good about mixing it up on social media. I thought it was pretty funny, the back and forth, reading up on some of that stuff. All right. Let's see. I got one other one here, right here from Gary. What are your favorite Mexican and Asian restaurants in and around the Provo-Orem area? Okay. Good question here. My favorite Asian place for years was a little place called Green Panda Cafe. And in fact, don't even know if Green Panda Cafe is still open. Let's check real quick. It was a great little restaurant in over by Magleby's Fresh out on University Avenue towards Provo Canyon. I don't even think it's open anymore. I don't think it is. Yeah, it's closed. Permanently closed. It was one of my favorite places. I thought it was a fantastic place. I've liked Shoots over in the Riverwoods. That also may be closed. More and more, though, my knowledge of Provo Orem restaurants is no longer what it once was because I live across the lake. I live in Saratoga Springs. I don't think it's a secret to any of you out there where I live. So I can tell you more about stuff out here in Saratoga Springs. It's a fantastic little Thai restaurant out this way if you want to go try that. Mexican places. Oh, good question. I like Milagros a lot. I know that Milagros isn't necessarily like authentic Mexican food, but the guys at Milagros, they do an incredible spread. And I'm not being paid to say this. I've enjoyed Milagros for years. I know that guys like Bronco Mendenhall ate there for years. Tyler Batty's had an NIL deal with them. They do it right. It's out on 800 North in Orem if you want to check that out. I've always liked Mi Ranchito. They have multiple locations, one there in Orem. I'm an Oremite. I grew up in Orem. Los Hermanos used to be good. I haven't been to Los Hermanos. I don't know how long. I enjoyed it when I had it before. So I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing with different names here. Was it El Azteca when that was open? Whew, that place was awesome. I think that's closed now. They may have, somebody told me maybe they've opened a new store. It's under a new name. Reach out and let me know if that's the case. But those are just a few that come to mind thinking about this. But I'll tell you this much. Dave Portnoy's in town. Those pizza reviews, I'm looking forward to seeing how guys like Nico's Pizza and the like go, because I really do like Nico's. I have never had Mott's, I don't think, but I think some other places will be trying out. I'm looking forward to seeing some of these reviews that roll in the coming days from him. All right. So there you go. I think I got to all the questions that were sent in this week. And quickly before we go here, let's get to my Big 12 big picks, because we are, wow, it's probably the longest podcast I've done that's not been a postcast edition of the show. But hey, you know what? It's Friday. It's a big game, and obviously there's a lot going on, so bear with me. All right, quickly, across the Big 12. I already said BYU 24, Utah 23. We have Arizona taking on Houston tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. It's an early kick for Arizona coming off that loss against BYU. Give me Houston to win this game. Arizona is a road favorite in this one, but I think Houston gets the job done, and they get to 6-1. That's a story that we're not paying enough attention to, is the Red Cougars. They're doing some really good things. We have what I will continue to call the rivalry. They're calling it the Battle for the Blue Bonnet, or whatever they call it, for Baylor and TCU. It is being played in Fort Worth. I think Baylor gets the win here. I'm just not sure what TCU is made of outside of Josh Hoover. And they could prove me wrong, because my picks last week, absolutely awful. If you want to go back and look at my picks, I'm now sub 500 on the season, everybody. That's how bad my picks were last week. I think it was like 1 and something, whatever it was last week. It was brutal. I was not good. Let's see. West Virginia at UCF. Man, that's a interesting game. I think West Virginia is so depleted. Give me UCF to beat the Mountaineers. Texas Tech and Arizona State. If Sam Levitt, he's listed as probable, plays in that game, it gives Arizona State a fighting chance. But I'm just telling you, Texas Tech, ranked 7th in the country, they look every bit the part of a true playoff type team. Give me Tech to get to 7-0. And then we have Cincinnati at Oklahoma State. Nothing against the Pokes, but they just don't offer much resistance. There's a reason why Cincinnati is a 3-touchdown favorite on the road. Give me the Bearcats, and they stay alive with a perfect sterling record in conference play. And then nationally, we got some big games across the board out here. We've got games like LSU and Vanderbilt. I picked Vanderbilt last week to beat. Was it last week against Alabama? And they let me down. I think LSU gets the win on the road against Vanderbilt. I don't think it's going to be necessarily a tight game. I think LSU is going to, they got a point to prove. Speaking of the Tigers, I think get the win pretty handily over Vanderbilt in that one. We also have Michigan State at number 3, Indiana. That could be an absolute incredible spectacle, because Indiana, with the new contract for Kurt Signetti, he's going to want to make an imprint, and I think Michigan State's kind of the sacrificial lamb in that respect. We have number 5, Ole Miss at number 9, Georgia. Give me, this is a crazy thing. We have got Georgia as more than a touchdown favorite in this game against a higher ranked team. I know they're at home, but give me the Ole Miss Rebels. I don't know what it is about Ole Miss. I'm intrigued by them. I think Trinidad Chambliss, I think I got his name right, is absolutely the truth. What a find he was from Division II Ferris State. Should be a fun game there, but I'm going to pick the Rebels to win that one. And then number 11, Tennessee at number 6, Alabama. Give me Alabama. I think that they've rounded into form nicely. We've got the old rivalry of number 20 USC at number 13 Notre Dame. I think USC is really, really good. I know Notre Dame's been doing their thing. Give me USC. I think USC's ability to be a balanced offense should get them the victory in this game. And I think that's all the picks I got for you guys. Oh, also one more tonight. Louisville at Miami, number 2 in the country. Louisville's 4-1, but I think they're going to 4-2. I think Miami looks absolutely every bit the part of a national title contender, and they're going to stick it to the Cardinals tonight down there in Miami Gardens. All right, so there you go. There's my picks. That's a long edition of the podcast, but as always, thank you, truthfully, for you guys' support of the podcast. It means the world to me that you guys enjoy it as much as you do, and enjoy the extended edition of this podcast, and get ready for the game tomorrow as BYU and Utah square off once again. BYU 24, Utah 23. I'm manifesting a three-game winning streak for BYU in this one. And of course, we'll be back with you guys in the post game with a postcast edition of the show, talking all things that I observed from this game, good, bad, and ugly, if that comes to it. So as always, thank you for your support of the podcast. Please continue to subscribe, rate, and review. And also make sure you make your second listen of the day our friends over the Locked On Big 12 podcast. That would be our guy, Drake Toll. He is here in town and obviously got plenty of coverage to come as well of his trip out to this game. So as always, thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. And we'll catch you guys again tomorrow with a postcast talking all things BYU right here on the Locked On Cougars podcast.